Some of these new makeup launches can be so tempting, but I'm really trying my best to talk myself out of buying them. So instead of buying the newest launches, I wanted to go through my collection and use some products that I already have that are kind of duping the vibe of these newer launches. So this video is kind of a mixture of a shop my stash, makeup tutorial slash anti-haul moment. I recently shared a video about how I want to do a beauty low buy for 2025 because I'm feeling overwhelmed with my collection and I want to get more use out of the products that I already own and love. I will be using a lot of older products today from my makeup collection, but I do have a few products that are new that I did receive in PR that I use today as well, but of course I'm going to give you my honest opinion as always. So let's go ahead and get started. So I went ahead and did my foundation off camera. I just used the Fenty Beauty Soft Lit Foundation in the shade 185. This was one of my favorite foundation launches of 2024. You've seen me apply this many times on camera, so I just quickly applied it off camera. But I'm excited because the foundation brush that I've really been loving, which is the BK Beauty 115, it was only available in a trio, but now it's available as an individual brush. They have two other brushes that are this exact same shape, just different sizes. So this is the medium size. The 109 is the smallest size, the medium size again is 115, and then the largest is the 101. Honestly, I kind of just don't use the 101 anymore. I just think it's a little bit too big. The 115 has been absolutely perfect. But I do have a code with them. It's just ANGELABRIGHT if you want to save some money on their website. There are two foundations that I saw that are coming out pretty soon that kind of piqued my interest, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I have to have them. I saw that Makeup Forever is coming out with a skin tint, and I do typically get their PR, so if I do receive it, I definitely will try it out. And then I saw Lawless is coming out with a full coverage plumping foundation. They're kind of sticking with the whole plumping theme for everything. I'm a little bit more excited about the Lawless one, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do for foundation because I think this will be their first foundation, where Makeup Forever has done plenty of foundations before. So I know for sure I'm not going to buy either of those myself, but if I do get them in PR, I'm definitely going to use them and let you guys know my honest thoughts as always. But the first product I want to talk about that I was definitely really tempted to buy is the new Rare Beauty Liquid Contour. Honestly, Rare Beauty is one of those brands that I just get excited about a new launch. I want to see what they're doing. I have liked a lot of products from the brand in general, so I'm always a little excited for a Rare Beauty launch, but this one, I definitely had to stop myself and kind of talk to myself about this launch. So here's the questions that I asked myself when I was deciding whether or not I really want to buy this product. Starting with, do I even like a liquid contour? So I physically looked through my collection and I didn't have any liquid contours, but I did have this liquid serum bronzer by Makeup by Mario. And honestly, I don't really like this product because of this applicator, but this is also a very sheer product, so it's a little bit of the formula, a little bit of the applicator. I would say that I kind of like a liquid contour, but then I asked myself, do I have something similar to this already that I do really like? And I do. It's another Makeup by Mario product, but it is the shaping stick. That's the right term, right? Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick, and this is the shade Fair, and I actually mentioned this in my recent 2024 favorites video. It is such a good contour shade when I'm fair. I do have a fake tan on right now, so I can't use it today, but I really do love this product. So yes, I do already have a product that I really love that would kind of fit into the same category as the Rare Beauty Liquid Contour. But then I also found my Rare Beauty bronzer stick that I do really like. I think this was one of my favorites from 2023, and honestly, I kind of forgot about it, and that's the one I'm going to use today. So this is the shade Bright Side, and this wasn't in the original like launch shades. The first shade I had of this was Power Boost, but it was a bit too warm for me, so I ended up giving it to my mom. I like this shade a lot because it leans a little bit more neutral. It's not super warm, not super cool toned. Using a BK Beauty 116 brush to blend this out. This is another brush that's now available as a single, finally. I'm telling you, the 115 and the 116 have been huge staples for me ever since I got these. Okay, but this Rare Beauty bronzer stick just blends out so easily. I love how like it just glides on my skin. The shade is really nice. Like I do enjoy this product. So I'm kind of asking myself, do I need another contour kind of bronzing product? No, I don't. I honestly haven't seen many reviews of them right now, but I'm kind of wondering to myself, like knowing just how pigmented their liquid blushes are, is the contour going to be super pigmented and a little tricky to work with? I don't know. The liquid contour isn't something I'm going to buy with my own money. If I was on the Rare Beauty PR list, I would totally use it and like give you guys my opinion and stuff, but I just know I don't need it, and I have some other products in my collection right now that can kind of serve the same purpose. But if they come out with the contours in the little mini size, like they did the mini blush blushes. Very possible I might buy that because I love a little mini makeup product, but I'm actually really loving how the bronzer stick looks right now, especially with the bit of a tan that I have right now. I know I said recently that I was taking a break from self-tanning, but honestly, it's just such a confidence boost for me, which is why I've been doing it a bit more frequently. And you know, I believe you should do whatever makes you feel good. So that's what I'm doing for myself right now. Let's move on to under eyes because I got these new Kosas brighteners in PR and I wanted to try them out today for the first time. I have not used these yet, so I want to read up on the product first before I try it out. It is the Revealer Extra Bright Serum Powered Color Corrector for dark circles, and I have the lightest too. It's a full coverage dark circle corrector, brightening and visibly depuffing serum in one that's the fastest way to transform tired eyes. So it's supposed to be full coverage. I did see one review of the product and it was from Kelly, and if you guys watch my videos, you know how much I love Kelly's videos, and her and I tend to have a very similar opinion. And I think she said that the pink was like too pink and just made the color of her under eyes look a little funky, so I'm interested to try this. I do already have two color correctors in my collection that I do love, and I've talked about them a lot on my channel. One is the Sigma Spectrum Color Correcting Duo. I've gone through 2 of these at this point. And then I also really like the Catrice Under Eye Brightener. I think this product is like $6 and it's so pigmented you only need a tiny amount. Okay, wait, maybe I'll do one eye with each. Maybe, but I'm gonna start with the Kosas and just kind of see how it goes. I'm gonna use the more pink shade Magic. Just kind of, but it's pretty pinky. It almost looks like a little lilac-y to me. I'm gonna do one side at a time. I'm gonna blend this out with my BK Beauty N14. Ooh, that is a lot of coverage. Very, very brightening. Ooh. I'm just gonna bring it up on my eyelid too, because I am gonna be doing shadow today, so maybe that'll be kind of nice to lighten that area a tad. That's really pigmented. Very brightening. How does it look close up though? I can't tell if it looks like it's too much. Like that was a lot. But it's also kind of hard to judge that when I'm not even close to being done with my entire face of makeup. Okay, so that's the new Kosas side. I'm gonna do the other side with my usual Catrice. I'm just gonna dab a little bit of that on the brush. I find that the Catrice one is pretty creamy and like it wears really nicely on its own too if I don't want to do a full face of makeup. Where I feel like with the Kosas one is that either you have to have really dark circles or be wearing a full face of makeup to go with it, because I think on its own it might look a bit too much. Okay, that's the Catrice one. I think I can see a difference. This eye does look a lot brighter to me and a bit more pink. I don't know which side I like better though. I think they both kind of serve a purpose. Again, I would like this side for more natural eye, but maybe for a full face of makeup, this Kosas one might be good. But again, this was the very first time that I ever put it on my face. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, please. But I kind of want both sides of my face to be even. But that was kind of a fun experiment, I guess. What if I just add the tiniest amount of the Kosas one to this side? Just like one dot like that. That's a lot less product than I put on this side. I want to bring this on my eyelids too, since I brighten the other eyelid. Yeah, I feel like a little bit goes a long way with this. I honestly feel like I don't even need concealer under my eyes right now. Like there's nothing to conceal. So next I'm gonna powder my face and then we're gonna jump to eyes. But I wanna set my under eyes, and I did get the Huda Beauty Powder and Ube Birthday Cake in PR. And I just really wanna try this because I did receive it in PR. I probably wouldn't have bought this myself if I didn't get it, but this is such a fun and unique color and I really wanna see how it works on my tan skin right now. And I really have been enjoying the Ube Cream Blush Filter, so I just wanna try it. You guys know how much I have fallen in love with the Huda Beauty Powder in 2024. The shade Pound Cake is my most used. How do you get to this product? Let me just tap out any under eye creases. I am so excited for this. I'm just gonna go right for it. And I have a new puff too. Oh, it like blends into the puff. Hello? That was not pigmented. Okay, in every video I've seen of this powder, it looks like low-key neon under their eyes, but why does it not look like that on me? I mean, it's definitely adding a pinky tone to my under eyes, which I think I might like after I do my blush and everything, but it's honestly not as pinky as I thought it would show up. I definitely wouldn't use this shade on my entire face. On the rest of my face, I'm gonna use my Pound Cake shade that's in this container that I'm so close to finishing. This thing is like almost empty. So just quickly powder the rest. And then we can do eyeshadow. Let me know if you can see that pink tint under my eyes. I mean, with that Kosas pink brightener with the pink ube powder, it's very subtle, but again, I have to see it once my entire face is complete. I realized I didn't actually prime my eyelids, so I'm gonna take my Rare Beauty primer and just add a little bit of that. And then taking Huda Pound Cake to set the primer. Let's talk eyeshadow palettes now. So I was scrolling through Instagram one day and I saw this palette and it just kind of stopped me in my tracks, and it is the new Adept Cosmetics Minka palette. I think this color story is gorgeous, and now I've been seeing some of my friends post about it and do looks with it, and it's a beautiful palette. What I'm really drawn to are those matte shades that are all kind of purpley, soft, muted tones. And I think that pop of green just really stands out and looks amazing with those colors. And then the shimmers look super fun. A lot of them are shifty, kind of multi-chrome, duochrome shades. I had to stop myself and think kind of realistically about this palette. First of all, I tried my first Adept Cosmetics palette last year in 2024. It was the Flying Fiddles palette. I bought it myself. I was excited to try the brand because I've seen so many of my friends post about them, and I honestly didn't really like the palette. I actually ended up decluttering it. Like, that's how much I didn't like it, and specifically, it was the matte shades. I thought the matte shades were pretty dry. They were kind of hard to work with, and then just overall, I didn't love the entire color story. So logically, I'm looking at this new Adept palette. I'm drawn to the matte shades, but I know I didn't like their matte formula in that previous palette. I probably wouldn't like these shades either. So for today's look, I kind of wanted to dupe the vibes of this Minka palette and use the shades that are kind of calling to me. And I looked at my collection and I found shades that I think are somewhat similar. Of course, they're not going to be exact, but it's going to give me a very similar look if I did have this palette in front of me, and I get to use what I already have and just kind of feel inspired by this color story. Because also, I know if I bought this palette, I would not get a lot of use out of it because I don't wear shades like this on a day-to-day basis. I am in my neutral era right now, but I can still think this is a beautiful color story and feel inspired by it. So let me show you what I pulled out in my collection. The first palette I grabbed is the Sigma and Little Mermaid palette. This was a palette that I mentioned in my recent declutter that I kind of forgot about and want to get more use out of. And the purpley shades in here look kind of similar to the purpley shades in the Minka palette. This shade kind of looks like Toya from Adept, and then this deeper muted purple is kind of like Maria. They're definitely not exact, but I really love how unique this shade is. This palette also has a pop of green, and just like this whole half of this palette right here I think is beautiful. But for some of those other really pretty shimmery shades in the Adept palette, I pulled out my What's Up Beauty Dragon palette. I love the shimmery shades in this palette. We have two greens right here, kind of more yellowy shade, a little bit more neutral, a purple to maybe go with my purple vibes I'm feeling. And then I was like, wait, I want a little bit more purple lilac-y vibes. So I grabbed Natasha Denona Roxa. I just posted an entire Natasha Denona palette ranking on my channel, so I'll link that up in the info cards if you want to see it. But even some of the purpley shades in here, I was kind of getting that Minka palette vibe. So I'm going to use what I have in my collection with just drawing inspiration from this palette. So I really hope this inspires you to look through your own eyeshadow palette collection, because this is actually really fun to look and see at what I already have. And these are palettes that I don't really get a lot of use out of, so it's really fun to kind of break them out today. I'm going to go into the Sigma Beauty Little Mermaid palette and take the shade 3 Days on a fluffy crease brush, and I'm going to place that in my crease. If I remember correctly, I think the shade is pretty light, so I will have to layer some other purpley shades with it, but this might be a nice transition. All of the eyeshadow brushes I'm using today are by Sigma as well, so if you want to check out this Little Mermaid palette or these eye brushes, I'll link them down below for you. And I also do have a code that works on Sigma's website. Again, it's just my name, ANGELABRIGHT, to save you some money. I'm going to do one more layer of that 3 Day shade. It has been a minute since I've done any kind of colorful look, so I'm excited to see what I come up with today. Now I'm going to dip into the Dragon Eye palette and pick up this shade Spikes. It looks like it could be similar to Elena from the Adept palette, and I'm going to use this to add some more depth into my crease here. These shades are blending really, really nicely together. Grabbing a little bit more Spikes and just kind of building that up on my outer crease. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush with more Spikes. This is a Sigma E42, and I'm going to run this across my entire lower lash line. And then going back to a little more 3 Days on my fluffier brush and just kind of running that across the entire lower lash line to really soften all of this out. I just really want this purple to be kind of wrapped around my eye. Now I want to pick a shimmery lid shade, so I think I want to swatch a few from these 3 palettes in front of me. Okay, I grabbed a few shades that I was just kind of feeling drawn to, shades I know I haven't gotten a lot of use out of. From the Dragon Eye palette, this is Magic and this is Monster. This center shade right here is Jumping Jellyfish from the Sigma palette. It kind of shifts to green and purple. It's kind of hard to see it on camera. And then from Natasha Denona Roxa, this is Bolt and this is Stargirl. I'm not really trying to dupe any shimmer shades from the Adept palette. I'm really just using something that's in front of me right now from one of these 3 palettes. I think I want to try this shade Bolt, especially because this is a cool kind of marble shade from the Roxa palette and I don't think I've gotten a lot of use out of it. This shadow does feel like it's going to need some sort of base underneath it, so I'm going to do a little layer of my NYX glitter primer, and I'm just grabbing a tiny amount like that, stamping that on my entire eyelid. And this is going to give me a nice tacky base and give that shadow something to really stick to. So I have Bolt on my finger. Ooh, it's kind of pulling a little bit more periwinkle on the lid, but this is a pretty color. I am finding myself having to dip back into it a few times. Definitely buildable though. Then I picked up a tiny bit of Bolt on my fluffy brush and I'm gonna run this back and forth in my crease to kind of soften out this harsh line. I'm just kind of lightly dragging my brush upwards so it kind of distributes the sparkles of this shimmer shade a bit better. Now from the Adept palette, I'm really drawn to that deep purple shade Maria. So I'm gonna grab Dark Magic from the Sigma palette. So I have this on a tiny angled brush and I'm gonna do a small little wing with this. So I kind of start by stamping the shadow along the outer part of my top lash line. And then I look straight into a mirror and following the angle of my lower lash line going outwards, I made that flick of a wing and just kind of maneuvered around that shadow until I was happy with that shape. I've also been liking bringing my liner all the way into my inner corner and doing a little flick in there, so I'm going to do that as well. Now also in that Adept palette, I'm so drawn to that bright green shade. So the Dragon Eye palette has this shade Fly, and while it's not going to be, you know, an exact dupe, I do really love this bright shimmer, and it does have a touch of green in it. So I want to pop just a little bit of that in my inner corner. Kind of want to add a little bit to the center of my lid using a pencil brush because I want this to be pretty precise. Just to kind of brighten up the center here. It's very, very subtle, but I like that. I can't decide if I want to add that dark purple shade to my lower lash line as well and just go like pretty smoky with this. I feel like that could be kind of fun and intense. Like it's been a while since I've actually played around with shadow. Maybe I'll do that. So I'm going to take more Dark Magic from the Sigma palette on my E42 and use that to really deepen up the lower lash line. I'm going to go all out. I'm adding a black pencil. This one's by Makeup Forever. No, this isn't the blackest liner I have, but it's gonna do for now. And now I'm gonna switch back to that tiny angle brush with again more of that Dark Magic shade, just really intensify the lower lash line. And then since I did my waterline in black, I'm gonna go ahead and do my tight line as well. Okay, I'm definitely happy I did the dark lash line. I think that looks so pretty and I'm having so much fun just playing with shadow right now and playing with my eye look. I'm gonna go ahead and get this eye caught up and pop on some mascara and lashes. Okay, here's how the eyes turned out. They look so pretty right now. I haven't done a purple eye look in so long and this is just making me so happy. For my lashes, of course, I used my brand The Bright Lashes and I'm wearing the style Daydream today. But I just love how intense this eye look is. Now that the eye look is done, I'm kind of looking at the color of my under eyes with that Ube powder and I think it kind of works, but I think it works because I went pretty heavy with the under eye makeup today. Because the tones of the purple down here, they kind of blend nicely into that pinky Ube powder. Now that the eyes are done, I want to do blush and I wanted to talk about the blush that I am so tempted to buy. I feel like everyone is talking about it right now and it is the new Natasha Denona blush duos. I have a bit to say about these, so here we go. So typically I do get Natasha Denona PR, but I have not received these in PR and I don't plan on buying them if I don't receive them. Because honestly, looking at them online, it's been kind of easy to talk myself out of them. But if in the future I do get it in PR, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 shades that I would like to try out, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I need to try it. So in place of the Natasha Denona blush, I'm gonna use a blush that I have been loving recently, specifically the shade of it, and that is the Lawless Cream Blush in the shade Cheeky. It is a beautiful, kind of more muted pink shade, but it has a little bit of purple in it as well, and it's been just one of my go-to kind of more cool tone shades of blush. So I'm gonna pop this on with that BK Beauty 116 brush as I talk about the Natasha Denona blushes. So first of all, I was a bit intrigued when I saw them online because of course it's Natasha Denona. That is another brand that I do really like a lot of products from. Obviously, I love her palettes, I love her concealer, I like what she's done recently. But I also really like the packaging of these, and I do like a blush duo. I have a few of the Patrick Ta blush duos that I absolutely love. Honestly, seeing this product online, I'm still a little bit confused by it. I know that the blush shade is a cream, but I cannot tell if the more highlighter shade is supposed to be a cream or powder as well. And I honestly still don't really know for sure at this point. I think the highlighter is a powder. So I like the idea of a cream blush with the highlighter for like a full complete cheek look, but I looked closer at all of the shades. I believe there are 6 shades total, and honestly, none of them really called to me. I think if I had to use one, I'd probably pick the lightest shade, Sweet Cheeks, but even then, it's not something I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to try that color. And I'm being real with myself about that because there is still a shade of the Patrick Ta blush duo that he recently launched. I believe the shade is called She Seductive, that I still want to this day. This one shade of Patrick Ta blush I've been wanting for weeks now, but I continue to hold off on buying it because I know it's so similar to the blush that I have in Not Too Much. So even though the Natasha Denona blushes look so pretty, if I were to buy a new cream blush right now, I would much rather have that Patrick Ta one over a Natasha Denona one that I'm not really obsessed with the shade of. I just want to point out too that this Lawless Cream blush is going over my set base really, really nicely. I'm just using a little bit of product and slowly building it up with this brush, but it's looking really good and I love this color. But looking at the Natasha Denona blush duos, I was like, well, what do I have in my collection that's kind of similar? And I found this Natasha Denona, what did she call this? Skincare Infused Glow Beautifier. I believe this came out, it might have been 2023. I don't think it was 2024. I don't know. But I remember really liking this product when it came out, and it's been months since I've used it. So I thought maybe I'll try to use this today as like my cream highlighter with a cream blush I already have. I hope I'm remembering correctly, but the best way to use this is to take a sponge, dip into that. This is a cream, and you just kind of press it into the skin. Look at that. Also, if I'm being real with myself, I haven't really been that into highlighter recently, so do I really need a blush and highlighter duo? No. I actually prefer this product with more of a no makeup kind of look. This looks really good as a base, kind of mixed with your primer, but it definitely is working as a little highlighter. I think that's really pretty. So I'm definitely proud of myself for being able to talk myself out of buying a new Natasha Denona product because normally that is a brand I freaking love. Now, the last product I wanted to talk about today that personally I was a little tempted to buy, but I feel like some other people might need some help being talked out of it, and it is the new Rhode Contouring Lip Shaper. Honestly, I think this product is trying to play a couple different marketing tricks here to make you think that you need this product. First of all, by calling it a contouring lip shaper, it made me think to myself, what is a lip shaper? I don't have one of those. Like, do I need one of those? And that's something that a consumer might ask themselves, but after looking deeper into the product, I'm like, oh, it's a lip liner. They're just calling it a contour lip shaper. It's a lip liner. It does look like it's a bit creamier than your typical lip liner, and the way they've been using it in marketing makes it look very effortless. Like, you just glide it on and that you don't need to be so precise as you do with a typical lip liner pencil. But here's a conversation I had with myself and how I talked myself out of this product. First of all, I just posted a video last week where I talked about how I'm doing a beauty low buy for 2025, and I kind of gave myself some categories of products that I don't need to buy more in because I just have so much of them, and lip liners is one of them. I have a ridiculous amount of lip liners for someone that tends to wear the same 2 to 3 lip liners and kind of sticks with the same color theme. That was kind of it. I'm just not allowed to buy a lip liner, but let me keep going. And then I was also just looking at the shades of all of these, and honestly, none of them look like a shade that I would even want to buy. It looks like a lot of them pull really warm, and that's kind of the opposite of what I want. Because on me and my skin tone, especially when I'm my fair, cool tone skin, lip products can look so warm on me right away, and that's not what I want. I definitely prefer more cool toned lip. And then I went a little deeper and I started looking into this lip contour trend, so that's what I'm gonna do today. And for that, I'm gonna use one of my favorite pencils that I have in my collection. I continue to rave about this. It is the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in the shade Endless Cacao. Now I love this because it is a cool tone brown shade. I use this on the lips and the eyes, and today I want to use it as a lip contour. So I always start my lips by blanking them out with my foundation brush, just because my lips naturally have a lot of pigment to them and I want them to be a bit softer. So from my understanding, a lip contour is not the way you would typically line your lips. You're kind of more contouring your lips in the same way you would contour your face to make shadows. So for example, on your cheekbone, you know, you would contour right here to lift up that cheekbone. So on your lips, they are saying kind of draw a little line right here, and I'm like below my lip line, and this is a nice cool tone shade, so I can just kind of blend this out with my finger, and it's gonna give me a little bit of a shadow under my bottom lip to make it look bigger. I actually do this step a lot with my bronzer typically, but this is kind of fun to try it with this pencil. And then I've seen some girls on TikTok do this on the upper lip, but I'm gonna stay pretty close to my lip line because sometimes it can look like you have a mini mustache, and that's not what I want. I'm gonna go a little bit above my lip line. I do have lip filler, by the way. Keeping it real here. See, it's a little mustachy. And then if I just kind of do this. So the point is that you're trying to make shadows here. You're not actually lining the lip. Okay, I think my upper lip does look bigger, but it also looks a little mustachy. I'm gonna take my concealer brush and just kind of tap over it. I'm just playing around with some new things today, you know? I definitely liked it more on the bottom lip for sure. But my point is that you don't need a new product for a lip shaping contour. You could totally do this kind of step with any of the cream bronzers I talked about, even a powder bronzer you have in your collection with the brush. But I just wanted to talk about that lip contour because I feel like whenever Rhode comes out with a new product, it's gonna blow up, especially the blushes. Okay, honest question, have you tried their cream blushes and do you like it? Because that is a product that has been on my wish list for a while. I continue to think about it, but I'm always like, I don't need a new blush, but I feel like the reviews are really, really good. So if you have tried it, let me know. Anyways, let me finish off my lips. I'm gonna pop on this ColourPop Fresh Kiss Glowy Balm. I have the shade Caramel Latte. I have really been liking this balm. It smells delicious, the texture is perfect, and it just has the most subtle hint of a nude tint to it, which I really, really like. Sitting here, I think I do want to fill in my lips just a tad bit more. So I'm gonna grab a lip liner that I have been loving for like 2 years straight, but I still have not finished it. It is this Makeup by Mario Smoky Pink. And I'm just gonna very lightly fill in a few areas. Just a little bit more color, but I really like how that looks. All right, and that is the full face of makeup. And I gotta say, I love how it turned out. It has been a while since I just sat here and played with some shadow, especially even mixed different palettes together. So personally, I really enjoyed filming this video, kind of shopping my stash, doing a full face of makeup while also talking about some new launches and how I'm talking myself out of some new products. There was a makeup tutorial in this video. Like, there's kind of a little bit of everything, but I think it really fits the overall theme of doing a low buy for beauty products. So please let me know if you liked this style of video, and I would love to know if there's any new launches that have caught your attention or launches that you're trying to talk yourself out of. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.